Welcome to the Tattoo Marketing Podcast and another episode of Client Chronicles. This week we have Laura as our guest. She has been getting tattooed for about the last 15 years in the Barrie area. We go over her best experiences, her worst experiences, and what she looks for in a new artist and what's made her stay with one of her artists for so long. Enjoy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura. I got my first tattoo when I'm 19. I'm now 35. Continue to get tattooed till this day.
Nice. So what
Yeah.
was your first tattoo and what was the experience like?
Yeah, so my first tattoo was actually an orchid from my mother, who I was close with then and have no relationship to now.
Right.
So that's been a journey. But I was recommended to a tattoo shop in Sonoma County, specifically Santa Rosa. It was called Monkey Wrench. It's still called Monkey Wrench. It's had a few owners since. The tattoo artist was Mark Hansen, and I went in to get a tattoo of a photo of an orchid that my mother had. It was a gift that I had given to her. They're her favorite flowers, and he tattooed the flower for me. So that was the
Mhm.
first one. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
What was the experience like? Was it good? Was it bad? Would you go back?
I ended up getting tattooed by Mark a few different times.
Okay.
After a while, I realized I'm really into American traditional style.
Mhm.
And so I realized while he is traditional style focused, it wasn't the artist that I felt like I was going to connect with long term. He was really nice, really comical, but I really wanted somebody that I was able to connect with on emotional level. Tattoos are hard. It's hard to sit through those sessions. So I wanted somebody that was going to be able to give me that dynamic and work through that space with me other than just trying to make me laugh during my appointments. It was a good experience. The back of the shoulder blade was not a fun area. It's actually one of
Mm.
my least favorite areas to be tattooed at this point, and I have about 70% of my back done now.
Yeah.
um and I would say to this day, with all the tattoos, I've had it redone over and over again, and I don't want to have my shoulders touched anymore. But
Really
as a yeah, it's
interesting.
it's really painful for me. The rest of my back was a breeze. The spine, the rib area, the neck, everything was a breeze. It was just the shoulder blades. I was oof. It just was not not pleasant.
Got it.
Yeah. But he
Interesting.
was pleasant as an artist. He was really comical, but I wanted somebody that I could connect with on an emotional level to continue my journey. So, and I still see him to this day. He's still at one of I go to a piercer here in town at a different tattoo shop, which he's now at. And so he and I are still able to converse back and forth. And so he's still in the tattoo world. And I wish him the best. He's just not my style anymore. So I moved on.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What you moved on and you were looking for the next artist. What were you
Yeah.
looking for? How did you go through that?
Yeah, so what I did is I did talk to a lot of friends and peers that were heavily tattooed, not just, like random here and here, but people that had put in some serious time and money into it, because in order to look good, right, it's going to cost some serious funds. And so those were the people that I was asking for the opinions about, but they said I would encourage you to go to different shops wherever you see fit, follow them on social media, check them out, or word of mouth. Go visit the shop. See how you like the atmosphere. See if you connect with any artists in the room. Go look at their books that they have on hand, because it showcases their work from with whatever they're willing to share, but usually from start to where they're at present. And so that's what I started doing. I started hopping from shop to shop to shop of artists that I was interested in, and there was a few shops that I said, oh, this could be a fit. Or there were a few shops where, because they would address the person right through the door, right? And it didn't even have
Mhm.
to be me as a potential client. I would be able to witness them say, hey, I'll be with you in a minute. I'm tattooing right now, or I'm speaking with another client. I'll be with you in a minute. And I liked that one-on-one, just the addressing of the person. um or hey, go look through my books, here they are, or we'll be with you. It was just a back and forth. There were some shops that I was thoroughly excited about that I would walk into. One in particular I walked into in Petaluma, California, and I was in there for 25 minutes and nobody said a word. There were 7 people in the shop, including the shop. It was a shop girl at the moment, who was my previous piercer. She didn't recognize me. A lot of years had gone by, but nobody said anything to people that were walking through the door. And I said, okay. And I sat there, and I would go to these places by myself because I didn't want the influence of my peers coming with me. And I sat there for 25 minutes. Excuse me, I stood, and nobody said a peep, no eye contact. And I said, okay, to myself, I was really excited about this. They do some amazing artwork here, but this isn't the shop that I'm looking for. If I'm looking for an emotional connection, I want at least to just say, hey, we see you. We're busy right now. Can you call back? Here's our email. Here's a business card. Just some kind of acknowledgement through the
Anything.
door. That was some anything.
Yeah.
We are clients, and we do spend a lot of time with these people, and a lot of funds. And so I wanted to make sure I felt comfortable in the space, and somebody who works with people, I know just addressing somebody a hello means a lot more than we normally would expect. And so, or even acknowledge ourselves. And so there were a few shops that I chose no to. And then the few shops that did acknowledge, I dove further into, and then I would visit them and do Friday the 13th, the spontaneous, like, oh, I can see your quick work in something small, something that's essentially meaningless and just fun. And that's how I found my future artists, actually, was
Nice.
during those. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy because I've heard that story about walking into a tattoo, and I've experienced it myself. You walk in there
Uh-huh.
and you just feel kind of stupid. You're just like looking around, like, "What's hi?"
Right.
Just a
Yeah.
hello would be awesome. That's all. That's all. Just
Yeah.
acknowledge I'm a human. Yeah, means a ton.
Right. It does. It does. Yeah.
Means a huge amount.
Yep.
Okay, so you saw him do the Friday 13th, and then is that the artist you've been with since?
Yeah, so I stuck with Monkey Wrench for a little while, the shop that I first got tattooed at, and the owner, Joe Leonard, he ended up moving to Florida. He owned a few shops, ended up moving to Florida, sold that shop. He's a world-renowned artist. He does a lot of painting, and so he sold that shop to Wes Anderson, and Wes Anderson is still the current owner. He's actually done my left sleeve and the majority of my back work. And during I really liked his style. I liked his back and forth. He was very interactive with his clients. He was understanding. He wanted to know your life story, but also at the same point, he set the boundary of, I'm working. This is what I need from you, which I fully respected, right? Like,
Yeah.
respect the art. They're coming through. And over time, I found with my style, with wanting the American traditional, I felt really comfortable in trusting my artist to say, this is my idea. Please make it your own.
Mhm.
And so I didn't want to come in with the Pinterest. I didn't want to come in with the Instagram or Facebook ideas,
Infinity
right? I
symbol
said,
or the logo.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah.
right, right. And so I didn't want that for my work, and I wanted it. I'm somebody who constantly is dressed in black or gray tones, and so I wanted my tattoos to pop. I didn't want them to blend in with my attire. And so I wanted the full American traditional. I want the bold lines, I want the color, and that's something that was right up his alley. And so I continued with his work. And then one day on Friday the 13th, I actually went with my boss at the time. He and I were on our lunch break and said, hey, Monkey Wrench is having their Friday the 13th. He's thoroughly tattooed as well. And so he and I dipped out for our lunch break, went and got a tattoo, came back. And during that point, while we were there, I was like, oh my gosh, there's this artist here named Tyler Harrington, who is a local of Sonoma County, born and raised in Windsor, and is now working in San Jose at State of Grace. And I thought to myself, man, if I could just get in with him and get to meet him and see his vibe. I think he's over 50,000 followers on Instagram, and his work is amazing. I've heard he's a really genuine person, and I really wanted to get in with him, but I was like, it's going to be luck of the draw, because on, the list, you can write your preferred artist, or you can just say, when I get in, I get in. I decided to choose that route. Whoever I get, right? And so it happened to be Tyler, and I said,
Perfect.
great,
Meant to be.
great. I said this was meant to be. And he goes, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know. I'm looking for a filler. I told him very blatantly. I said, I'm really lucky. I'm really glad and lucky that I got this space with you. I was looking forward to this time with you. And I was like, I'm a beach girl. I love the beach. And he happened to have one of these templates, and it's the word love But the L is a palm tree, and the taller part of the L is a palm tree, and the bottom half is the beach, but it looks like a booty, almost like booty cheeks, just
That's
like
awesome.
this.
Yeah.
And so he puts the stencil on, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. It's my booty beach. Like, I'm a curvy girl. This is perfect. It's a little filler tattoo. I'm getting to meet an artist that I'm really looking forward to. And so he did that on my inner ankle under one of my other tattoos, and he and I clicked instantly. And I was like, dope, and I let him color it the way he wanted to. I said, this is the area I'm thinking. He placed it where he felt was right. So giving him the freedom, right? Even though it was just a whim of a tattoo. Um, and now he is my full-time tattoo artist. So I go down to San
Nice.
Jose to go get that done. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's a trek.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it's well worth it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So, yeah.
Got it. Well, good. I'm glad you. That is funny that you got the exact artist you wanted. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
It worked in my favor.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have like a? I always ask a worst tattoo experience that you would want to share. I've heard some not so bad stuff and some insane things. So it's always fun to hear.
Yeah, so I have two. One of which I won't name the artist. The one that I so there's one story that I was actually tattooed, and there's one story that I wasn't tattooed.
Oh,
So the first story where I was tattooed, and this relationship with this artist was very brief. Minimal, I think 2 3 tattoos tops. And so um and for everybody listening and everything, I have my feet, my back, my arms, ankles done. And I'm not stopping anytime soon. So
yeah.
I'm not stopping anytime soon. I've saved my legs intentionally so that I can plan those with a theme. But this person only had a few tattoos, and so but they were consistent about telling me about the size of their penis ring every session and how they would enlarge it.
Interesting.
um
Okay, that's a new one.
yeah, and what their wife would do with it. So
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
at the time I was really young. I was in my early 20s, and I was just like, okay, like, when you laugh out of discomfort,
Yeah.
but you're like, I'm in some pain right now. What am I doing? Like, I'm sitting here trying to listen to this person, make sure they're feeling heard. Here I am, uncomfortable physically, and now in a mental space where I don't want to hear this story. I didn't ask to hear it. Because we had gotten on the topic of piercings, which I'm also a fan of, and so that was one where I was getting tattooed. Another one, where I didn't get tattooed. I went to Tattoos and Blues here in Santa Rosa in Sonoma County. It's a music for blues and a tattoo festival,
Hmm.
and it's now become a car show. It's every February, and I was pretty certain I was going to get tattooed. I never was that person. I was like, I'm going to go to conventions, I'm going to go to festivals to get tattooed. I really enjoyed watching the art of it and talking to artists and getting their gear, like t-shirts and hoodies and stickers and all the things. But I went to this one with the intention I'm going to go get tattooed. This artist, I would say he was probably younger than me. I was in my mid 20s. I would assume that he was younger than I was. He said, "Oh, I have all these ideas. This is what I want to do." And I said, "Hey, look, like, this is my style. Again, American traditional." He was more realism. Again, I'm sitting here talking to all the artists, right? Like, seeing, am I going to click with anybody? Who should I get tattooed by? He was adamant about tattooing me. And I said, "Hey, let me go talk to some more artists. I'll swing back around." He continued to follow me around the convention. It was about a total of an hour. It ended up being a conversation of, if you continue to follow me, I'm gonna have to talk to security because I'm not comfortable. I've told you I'm gonna talk to other artists. And at that point I had told him, no, I don't want to get tattooed anymore. And since that experience, I haven't been tattooed at a convention unless it's been Tyler Harrington, because I'm not comfortable. It kind of ruined it for me. I want to go support the artists, and I'll buy their t-shirts and I'll buy their hoodies. And I want to talk to them about the artwork that they do, but it did put a foul taste in my mouth of being followed, and the just insistentness of just saying, "Oh, I want to tattoo you," which is great, but I want to be comfortable,
Yeah.
right? So that was not a fun experience.
No, that is very weird. So don't
Yeah.
talk about your dick piercing and don't follow women.
Don't
I feel like
right.
that should be
Right.
common sense,
Right.
but
Boundaries.
yeah,
Boundaries.
that's a big thing. Yes.
Right. Right.
Oh
Exactly.
man. Um, so on the opposite side of that, what about like your best tattoo experience?
Uh-huh. So um I had again, it's with Tyler, and I'm giving him a shout out in this space. Tyler's been my tattoo artist now for I'm 35. I started getting tattooed regularly by him in my mid 20s, so well over 10-year client. So that's a lot of life lived with a tattoo artist, right? They become your friend. And I had a really big life event happen where I lost a partner and I had a tattoo session pretty closely afterwards. And so I went there and I was like, man, am I doing the right thing? Is this just like, is this a moment of time? Is this like, am I making the right decision on the tattoo? Because I'm never somebody that's going to go into a tattoo saying I'm going to go get it removed. I'm making this decision. I have no inkling of ever going to a tattoo removal shop to get anything removed. I've made the decision. I'm committing to it. And my right arm is 90s West Coast hip hop themed. And so I have Ice Cube, and now I have Traxamillion, who's a producer, and I have Snoop Dogg on there. So like we're really building it. I have the Chronic album, and so but I went into a session with him, and my headspace was really messed up, and he was beyond gentle. I said, dude, this is just what I've been through. I'm in a really vulnerable space. And we had talked about it, and he checked me and he was like, this is a conversation we've been having for a really long time. We're making a sound decision. We talked about the placement over and over again. And he just let me work through the emotional space that I needed to during that session. And I think that's really important, being able to work through life with your artist, right? It's not just a stamp in time. It's no, life is great, or life is not so good, or this is what I'm dealing with at the moment. And being able to work through those moments with them. And again, it's going back to that emotional connection, right? Of him being able to say, I'm here, we're gonna work through it. I also think tattooing, and some people will disagree, but tattooing is a form of therapy,
I was
right? Like
just
our
about to say
bodies are, yeah.
that.
Our bodies are going through a moment, right? It does put you in a meditative state. It does put you in or a state of just almost shock, right? Of just your body is just dumping a lot of emotions. And so while I felt calm during that session, I also felt like my body was just releasing a lot of stress that was stored. And so he worked with me very gently. And it was probably one of my longer sessions with him. But just the fact that he was there in that space and saying, I'm here, we're going to do the work, we're ready for it, that was huge. So I'd probably say that was one of my best sessions. Also, one of my most recent sessions with him. I came in, and so many people avoid like the inner arm area because they're scared of the feeling. um, I was in such a good mental space at the time. I had almost fallen asleep. And I mean, it's
Damn.
really close to my inner arm, right? So like I had almost fallen asleep, and he says, Laura, he was like, I am like thoroughly impressed. You've barely moved this whole time. And they have you cocked in those weird positions of where you're, it's not comfortable for us, but it's what they need to be doing. And he goes, oh, you should consider getting your armpits done. And I
Oof.
never thought I was a girl. Yeah. I never thought
Yeah.
I was a girl that would be able to hang with that. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And I said, oh, well, I mean, I love how they look, but I didn't think that I was going to be able to hang. And he goes, Laura, if I didn't know any better and I wasn't doing the actual work, you wouldn't know that you're getting your inner bicep done. And to me, that is a huge compliment, right? So going from like a big life event to almost a compliment of, oh, I'm a good client too,
Yeah.
So because that's huge, right? Tattoos are not fun. They're not meant to be easy. It's a process. And so but being also just having an artist that puts you in such a comfortable space is a huge compliment to them as well, right? Just being able to
Definitely.
be like, I'm getting a really tender spot tattooed and I'm almost snoozing, and I'm a light sleeper, so that it's a huge compliment to him as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. That is impressive. Yeah, armpit. I have some inner arm stuff. Yeah, it did not feel good. So
Yeah, it's a
Armpit
little
would be
tender.
nuts. uh, so let's say Tyler just say he's like, hey, I'm moving to Thailand. I'm gone, never coming back. What would your
Yeah.
process be to find a new tattoo artist now that you've, you know, fairly experienced in a shop in a chair? What would you do?
Yeah, so I'm and it's funny he's told me he is moving. So,
Oh,
but
well, there
he's
you
not
go.
moving that far.
Yeah,
He's he and his wife are going to be moving to Santa Cruz, which I said I'll follow you, you know. If it's within reason, I will follow you, right? What I would do then is I would, because there's that level of comfortability, I would then take his recommendations. I'm comfortable going out to other artists and having those conversations, but because I have built the rapport that I have with Tyler, I would prefer to lean on the recommendation of who he thinks I would then click with, and the art that I'm looking to get, because they know best, right? It's their world. We can look at Instagram all day every day. There's also the part of, with social media, people post what they want to post, right? We're not seeing their all of their work, just like they're
yeah,
not seeing all of our good days, all of our bad days,
yeah,
right? And so I would really lean in on him. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to go to Thailand anyways, but
yeah.
I would probably travel to go there. But that would be a really hefty trip versus going to San Jose. So but I would lean on the recommendation of what he would tell me.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So don't jump off because I actually do want to catch up. But
Okay. Yeah.
awesome. I taking about 20 minutes of your time. I
Yeah.
massively appreciate you coming on. That was good. That was some good stories. I always love
Yeah.
like it's always good when somebody's actually found an artist that they love and they continue to go
Yeah.
back to because they've had a good experience and they've built that friendship and relationship with them. But I do also enjoy the horror stories because there's some weird shit out there.
There's some weird shit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me.
I'll
Yeah.
talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Awesome. I appreciate you.
That was
Thank you
great.
so much. That was fun.
Yeah. That was good. That was good.
Uh,
Anytime. Anytime. Yeah. How are you, dude? How's life?
I'm good. I'm good.